Many have searched for the truth on the mysteries of our world. But in reality, there are no mysteries, only a lack of information. These are the unveiled mysteries of light. Here I have prepared questions related to the so-called Area 51. Although something has already been said, I would like to deepen about it, because there is a lot of confusion. First, I want to ask about the underground constructions. It is believed that there are many places in the planet which are related to Area 51, such as Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Peru, Puerto Rico, Antarctica, etc.
In the countries you name there are extraterrestrial bases, as well as in other parts of the world, but they are not related to Area 51.
Are these extraterrestrial bases independent?
That's right, and the United States don't even know about their existence. In this case, when I speak of the United States, I am referring to the American government's very deep levels, because the government agencies don't know anything about this either.
I understand, but isn't there any country related to Area 51?
Yes, there are only two, Puerto Rico and Russia, and this last one through a base which is in Siberia.
Is Russia related to the same aliens who are in the United States?
Correct, they are the same ones.
Are these aliens called the Greys?
Yes, but other races have appeared. There is a race called the Blacks.
Where do they come from?
They come from a star called Albex.
At what distance is it located?
Approximately 1,000 light years. There is a third race which is very similar to the Greys, but their skin is a little bit darker. They are directly predators. They have their jaw totally protruded, with the teeth visible, and less skull than the Greys.
Do they belong to the animal kingdom, like the Langar, from Arturo's constellation?
No, they are humanoids.
How many types of Greys are there?
There are 4 types of Greys, and one we will call the predators. These predators have appeared in pictures that even appear on internet.
Let's see if I understood. There are 7 races of aliens working with the United States and Russia, which means 2 types of blacks, 4 types of Greys and a single race of predators.
If you count the Langurs, there are 8.
And what about the Anthians? I refer to the race that had an accident in Roswell.
The Anthians are one type of the Greys.
I understand. Do some races of aliens help each other, or are all of them independent?
No, not all of them are independent. Some of them have connections, but most of them compete. In addition, the Langur, as you already know, were captured and subjected because their ship had an accident. The humans extracted their technology.
When you say they extracted, what do you mean?
I used that word because the Langur would have never shared voluntarily their technology with humans.
What did they achieve with that technology?
For example, they achieved building an energy shield of protection.
Are the Langars prisoners at Area 51?
Yes, but at the present time they are very few since they have not reproduced.
Are there other extraterrestrial prisoners besides the Langars at Area 51?
Yes, of course.
I wonder why their partners have not abducted them using teleportation.
The answer is very simple. As I told you, the Americans have designed an energy shield based on the one they took from the Langur ship, and this shield prevents teleportation.
Is this shield effective against all the extraterrestrial teleportation devices?
Yes, it is. It works on any teleportation device no matter its origin. The system works through molecular transportation, and this one cannot be made if there is an energy shield.
It is clear. How many aliens, counting all the races, are there at Area 51? I have read that there are around 18,000.
No, not that many. There might be a tenth of that, approximately 1,800.
Does Area 51 have 7 levels, like the ufologists say?
This fact is partially correct. The area in 30 years has grown very much. Area 51 began to be formed soon after the accident of the Anthian ship in Roswell. 7 years after this incident, an area of tests was formed, where they directly competed against the Russians. This happened in 1954. In 1958, the United States had an airplane that could not be detected by any radar. This airplane was baptized Black Delta Wing. An energetic armor had been incorporated to it.
Was that shielding from extraterrestrial technology?
Yes, it had been extracted from the Langer ship, but what happened was that the alloy of the metals of those airplanes was not compatible with the energy of the Langer ships, and then these ships had a very limited performance. In 2 or 3 months the metal began to deteriorate.
How unusual. I want to know if that technology has been extracted from them by means of force or in exchange.
In both ways, but mostly in exchange. There is a scientist called Robert Lazar who had a quarrel with his superiors and has disclosed many secrets. Among them, for example, that a race of the Greys has given to them an anti-gravitational field, in which the ships don't need atomic engines nor solar motors because they use the gravity of the planet. They are driven by anti-gravitational nets. The machines are anti-gravitational and their fuel is the antimatter. This fuel was given by one of the races of the Blacks. The 2 races of the Blacks work in cooperation with the 4 races of Greys. The terrestrial scientists knew, as anyone, that gravity attracts. Then, they had to find an element where gravity was excluded, and with the ordinary matter this could not be achieved. That element was provided by the Blacks because the Greys didn't want to give it.
What did the Blacks provide? Some type of fuel?
The Blacks provided a formula to create antimatter.
How do they use that antimatter?
That antimatter is used as a fuel of the gravitational engines, creating an effect of repulsion which is controlled by some devices called micronometers, which are like little wheels rotating and opening the gates so that the antimatter makes its effect.
Is there another technology provided by the aliens?
There is a new material discovered in laboratory by the scientist I mentioned already, Robert Lazar, with formulas provided by one of the Black races, called element 115.
I wonder why Robert Lazar has not been eliminated.
Robert Lazar has the advantage that he is a very well-known person, and the hierarchs of Area 51 are avoiding to have worse propaganda. I say worse propaganda because they already have bad propaganda.
Also, nobody believes Bob Lazar.
That is another of the advantages he has.
It is said that there are many ufologists murdered who have investigated Area 51, as well as many scientists who died in that place and others who have defected to denounce what they saw there.
It is true. In the last 15 years, from 1988 to 2003, there were 84 murders.
Does the American President Bush know about this?
No, not at all.
Is he a puppet then?
Of course.
Are the famous men in black always terrestrial employees of Area 51, or are there also aliens?
They are terrestrials and employees of Area 51. They work with the Greys and a race of the Blacks.
Do they disguise themselves? I ask this because people who have met them depict them like men with dark suits, pale faces, something totally uncommon.
On the contrary, the men in black have an ordinary look, as if they were the most common men on Earth, precisely to be unnoticed.
But who are they really? Do they really intimidate people and also murder?
Of course they murder. Not only do they have the function of scaring people, if there is a defector or somebody bothering too much with accusations, they simply send a man in black to eliminate him.
Could the man in black be dressed any color?
They can disguise themselves as a common clerk or a neighborhood grocer. For example, if you make a meeting to give a conference about UFOs and a man in black attends, he will pass unnoticed among the assistants.
I understood. This woman, Krista Milton, says that she saw animals in enormous boxes and different races of humanoid beings in transparent containers, but she could not determine if they were alive, dead, or in suspended animation.
They were in suspended animation and in the mothership. There are at least 35 or 36 aliens of different races that have been captured for study purposes, and she is not the only person who saw that.
Is there something like that at Area 51 also?
No, not in Area 51. I am speaking of the mothership of one of the races of Greys.
Then what she saw was not Area 51?
No, it was in the space, in a mothership.
Krista Milton says that she saw Greys as without a soul.
She made a mistake because one of the races of Greys is much more inexpressive than the rest.
Now I understand. She didn't know that there were different races, and when making the comparison, she thought that those inexpressive beings could be some type of humanoid robots.
Correct. I want to clarify that the territory around Area 51 began to be built in 1954, but recently in 1958 was when it expanded. From this date up to 1968 it didn't grow too much, because they experimented more with anti-gravitational airplanes. But from 1968 to 1998 it has grown 5 times. They have even changed the riverbeds in order to build. In 1968 there were 3 underground levels, in 1988 there were 7, and starting from 1998, 14.
14 underground levels? It is amazing. In some report I read that there were places where the depth of the constructions reached more than a mile underground. Is this a mistake?
No, it is real, but these are enormous hangars where motherships are hidden.
It is really incredible. And from where does one enter to those hangars?
One can enter through a hidden cave protected by heavily armed soldiers. To get inside it is necessary to use armored elevators with titanium walls that go kilometers down.
Is it true that they have a train that can reach Mach 2 speeds?
This technology is only used at Area 51. Outside of there, not even the American president knows about it.
Was there some battle in Dulce between terrestrials and extraterrestrials?
It wasn't a battle, but there was a small skirmish between one of the races of blacks and one of the races of grays. It wasn't with terrestrials.
And among the terrestrials?
There were quarrels among the officials of the FBI that wanted to investigate and the men in black, with several deaths in both sides.
To conclude the session, I want to know some curiosities. Do all the grays come from the same planet?
No, they come from different planets. The blacks don't come from the same planet either, since they are 2 totally different races.
And regarding to the height?
The Anthians, that I include them among the grays, have an average height between 4'7" and 5'3". There are other races of grays that reach up to 5'8". There are races of grays that their height fluctuates around 4 feet, nothing else. The predators that are also gray are between 3'7" and 3'11". The blacks are also different. One of the races, those that achieve the antimatter formula, are taller, because they reach up to 5'10". I will leave you, because the vessel is totally unstable. All my light to you.
See you later, Master, and thank you.